The president of ECOWAS Court of Justice, Ricardo Conclave, has called on the Nigerian government to lead by example in enforcing the court's judgments to strengthen the regional rule of law and restore confidence in community justice. Well, the justice disclosed that since the establishment of the court, 128 cases have been instituted against Nigeria, with 66 closed, 10 executed, and 52 still pending execution. Speaking at a bilateral meeting between the court and the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the enforcement of the court's judgment on Tuesday in Abuja, the court president said if Nigeria leads by example, it would strengthen the authority of the court and encourage other states to comply. Well, global affairs analyst Dr. Victor Okhai joins us now to discuss this call by the ECOWAS court. Thank you so much for joining us here on Newsday.
Always a delight. Thank you.
So what do you make of this? How would you assess the level of compliance by ECOWAS countries before this enforcement push?
Okay, so I think what has been worrying about the whole business of ECOWAS is the fact that there are a lot of protocols that have been signed, a lot of agreements, but there's very little adherence, or if you like, compliance by the member states. The level of impunity is such that, the aspect of judgment, apart from among nations and between ECOWAS and its employers, there are 4 sections that the court, decides over, has jurisdiction over. But the one that is of very big concern to generality of people is that of human rights. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the problem that we've had is that when people can't get justice here and they go to ECOWAS, and ECOWAS delivers judgments, enforcement is we hardly get enforcement here. And the level of impunity is what has made the president of the court, to raise this concern. Nigeria is very influential. Nigeria is obviously the leader. And if there's that level of impunity, then there's very little that you can expect even from the others. So, and that's why it's a thing of concern.
But then if ECOWAS members are ignoring judgment, doesn't that fundamentally undermine the court's legitimacy and, of course, the entire regional integration project?
Absolutely. I agree with you on that, because what is the essence? The idea behind this is to ensure that, okay, yes, you have your Supreme Court and all that, but just to be sure that people truly get justice, independent of, where, their countries. And, human rights are of international concern. They're not just local, because your rights can be abused by governments in your country. But when you have regional bodies, which is why I have, of course, the International Criminal Court that looks after criminal cases at the international level by presidents and people who commit gross human rights abuses. And you find enforcement across countries. There are a few countries that behave like Nigeria. I'm sorry to say, but the US is one of them. They decide what is human rights abuse, what is international crime, or who are international criminals and who is not. And that seems to be what Nigeria seems to be doing at the regional level here as well. So I think that it is important for that court to have its bite, if you like, and maintain its credibility that we lead. We are one of the biggest funders of ECOWAS, okay? Financiers, if you like. We are the biggest member in ECOWAS, and we are also the most influential. And it's important for us to lead frontally. And what you find there is more like an appeal, which is sad. It shouldn't really be the case. It shouldn't be appealing to us and say, okay, please now, comply, so that others too will obey.
It should have more bite.
It should have more bite. And the way to do that is to ensure that if judgments are given, they're enforced. It doesn't matter whether the government is happy about it or not. But if people have looked at the situation locally and they feel they've not gotten justice, and they go to a higher, because that's what it is after all, if they appeal to a higher court, and there is a protocol that binds all of us together, then it behooves on us to be able to respect it and enforce it.
Well said. Well, how relevant can the ECOWAS court really be after the exit of, the three Sahel states under military dictatorships?
Well, it is still relevant because it's relevant among members. And so if you were 15, and for instance, and you're now 13, all those that are signed to it, that signed to it, and of course, it's relevant to them because you're still a part of ECOWAS. So whatever ECOWAS decides is binding on all members. And while we're at this, I think it's important to mention as well that this is not the only area where many of the ECOWAS members are found wanting. We talk about the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. ECOWAS started well before that, the regional integration thing. But you find that across our borders, these rules are not respected at all. It's so difficult traveling across our borders, our land borders, and so it has to be holistic. We have to respect this protocol all around, all members, not just Nigeria, but the reason Nigeria has been mentioned is because of the position that we occupy in the region.
So what immediate steps, or reforms can ECOWAS make to improve enforcement? Maybe introduce sanctions? Will that work?
Well, sanctions won't work if the members don't. Because if there are laws and you don't enforce them or you don't comply, what sanctions? They are the ones financing you. I think that the heads of state should agree among themselves to respect this institution and to give it that bite and oomph that it truly deserves. It's just the moral. It's more of moral suasion than anything else. If you say sanction, can Ghana sanction Nigeria, for instance, which is why they're appealing to be the big brother. So we have to lead by example. So what I would say is that I think Nigeria, the appeal is at the right place. Nigeria should take the lead and bring along all other members and show example by enforcing these judgments in its own territory so that others can take a cue, and then it will now be something that becomes established.
Well, knowing how history plays out and knowing the member states that are at play, in your personal opinion, what do you see as the future of the ECOWAS court?
It's a very good idea. It's not just about human rights. There are other aspects that it takes care of as well among members, between ECOWAS and its employees. And I think there are 4 or 5 areas. So it's still relevant on all other fronts. And I think enforcement is on the other ones. But where you don't get it is because where you don't get true enforcement is in the areas where you get the most impunity, which is where you have dictatorships or governments who have no respect for law, even within their territories, which is why people would even go out to appeal in the first place. So I think it's something that we all have to agree and help to make it work. But I keep repeating one thing whenever I have the opportunity. There was one thing our former President Obasanjo did in his time where they talked about this peer review mechanism among African heads of state. It was Africa-wide, which is something we need at the ECOWAS level, where presidents check themselves, talk to themselves, advise themselves. If anyone is misbehaving, talk to yourselves privately first, and then, like peers, say, look, man, you're embarrassing us. Do something. Don't do this again, and all that. And if we're able to bring that peer review mechanism in among ECOWAS states and their sincerity, I think it would help.
But could integrating ECOWAS court judgments automatically into domestic legal systems, will that improve compliance?
I think it would improve compliance because if it is respected at that level, you don't even want cases to get to that level to cause embarrassment for you, which means that justice is not only served, but is seen to have been served. What will make people go outside is because of impunity within the jurisdiction of their residence where they live. For instance, if here my rights are violated, I go through the various courts here and up to the Supreme Court, and I don't think I'm getting justice either because of impunity or because of one reason or the other. It doesn't even speak too well. It means I can't get justice within my country, which is the reason why I'm going out in the first place. So if judgments can be enforced at that level, and you know that whatever you do, this person will get justice ultimately, then I think right from the, the earlier courts, people will begin to apply to make sure that people get justice and early enough.
Yeah, well, we sincerely hope so. We'll see how it all plans out, of course.
Hope. I hope it's an appeal that is also indicting, and I hope that our governments do the right thing, because it is the best thing, after all.
Very well said. Always great to have you in the studio with us, Victor
Pleasure.
Okhai, Global
Thank you.
Affairs Analyst.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.